with that sound, we are back for another edition of American Football News. Here we are in Week 6 of the NCAA. For those of you who don't know the show, I give the top 25s a little bit of a rundown and a recap of the previous week's games in both college and pro football, and a little bit of the news and what you have to look forward to this week in football. For the top 25 was released yesterday and is as follows. At no surprise, for the 6th week in a row, Alabama comes in at number 1, followed by Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Auburn, West Virginia, and the University of Washington round out the top 10. Coming in at number 11, Penn State, followed by UCF, Kentucky, Stanford, who falls the farthest this week, falling 7 spots after that loss to Notre Dame last Saturday. Coming in at 15, the University of Michigan, 16, Wisconsin, 17, Miami of Florida, 18, Oregon, 19, Texas. Coming in at 20 is Michigan State University, 21, Colorado, 22, Florida, 23, NC State, 24, Virginia Tech, and 25, Oklahoma State. For those of you who are playing the home game, you will notice that BYU, Texas Tech, Cal, and Duke are no longer in our top 25s. All those teams suffering losses this past weekend, all effectively pushing them out of the top 25. However, Colorado, Florida, NC State, and Virginia Tech, who fell out earlier this year, are back into the top 25. There were no big upsets of the week, but there was a potential upset of the week, and we will go over that here in a second. Again, no real upsets in the top 25. However, an epic upset almost came at the hands of Syracuse. This time, ACC Atlantic rivals Clemson and Syracuse played to a last-second shocker at Memorial Stadium. Trailing by as much as 2 scores, Clemson put on a furious comeback to pull out the win 27-23. Syracuse surprising a lot of people this year and playing very, very well despite the slow start that a lot of incumbents and experts predicted. Our Game of the Week results from the last week included 5 games, and we watched these in particular, and here are the results of those 5 games. And these particular rankings that I'm about to give you pertain to this week, not last week. Number 9, West Virginia defeated Texas Tech 42-34. Number 18, Oregon defeated Cal in a lopsided win 42-24. Number 10, Washington defeated BYU in a whooping of a match 35-7. Number 6, Notre Dame defeated number 14, Stanford 38-17 in one of the more complete games on this list. And number 3, Ohio State defeated number 11, Penn State in a come-from-behind win and at Happy Valley to upset the Nittany Lions 27-26. With the season about halfway through, we're going to take a look at some of our Heisman hopefuls. This is the first week that we will take a look at the top 4 ESPN-rated candidates from around the country and our favorite to win it all after this week. Our number 1 Heisman Trophy candidate is Tua Tagovailoa. Sorry, I'm going to slaughter that name. Quarterback from the University of Alabama, who's in his sophomore year. Tua has already thrown for 1,161 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. However, I kind of take this with a grain of salt, as Alabama usually doesn't play anybody worthwhile until much later in the season. Our number 2 Heisman hopeful is Kyler Murray, quarterback from Oklahoma, who's a junior this year. So far, he's thrown for 1,460 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The next person who comes in at number 3 on the Heisman list is also a quarterback, Will Grier from West Virginia, who's a senior, has very, very similar stats to his counterpart in Oklahoma. 1,487 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And rounding out our Heisman hopeful is number 4, Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State, who's also a sophomore. 1,464 yards, the most touchdowns of the top four, 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. However, his close win against Penn State sort of hurts his Heisman Trophy candidacy. It seems to be that in order to win the Heisman Trophy anymore these days, you have to blow people out on a regular basis with a couple of close wins to pad your resume. This week's favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, if it were delivered on Saturday, would be Kyler Murray. We feel that he is a better complete package and a better quarterback than his predecessors. The games of the week to look forward to this week, we only have 3 of them, but they're going to be good ones, or at least we think they will be. Our first one is the Red River Shootout, and for those of you who don't know what that is, that's number 19 Texas taking on number 7 Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl. This is an old rivalry that neither team likes. They don't like one another. The fans don't like one another. People from Texas don't like Oklahoma, and vice versa. So check it out. It'll happen Saturday, October 6th at noon. Our prediction is Oklahoma will walk away with the victory. Our second game of the week to watch will be number 5 LSU taking on number 22 Florida. That also takes place Saturday, October 6th at 3:30 p.m. It is our choice that Louisiana State will beat the Florida Gators. And to finish out our game of the week, we have number 6 Notre Dame taking on number 24 Virginia Tech, also Saturday, October 6th at 8 p.m., and we feel the Irish and their passing attack should be able to beat the Hokies. Well, that's all for college football. We are moving on to professional football. And when it comes to professional, there is only one. That's correct. Only one NFL team is winless in 2018, and that honor goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Struggling to get anything going at the beginning of the season, Arizona looks to pick up their number 1 win this week against San Francisco, who has also struggled this season, especially at the quarterback position. Several close games this past weekend and 1 blowout game as well. An interesting turnaround for some teams, more of the same for the rest. A recap of last week is as follows. Thursday Night Football kicked off September 27th, saw 2 high-powered offenses go at it. Minnesota and LA played a very entertaining game at the LA Coliseum to a crowd of 72,000-plus fans. Kirk Cousins and company had a great day, going 36 out of 50 for 422 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. But Jared Goff and the Rams were even better, going 26 out of 33 for 465 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Rams win a close one, 38-31. Another close game was the Bengals and the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan, quarterback, playing very well right now. However, that isn't translating into wins. A horrific leg injury to former Notre Dame tight end Tyler Eifert couldn't stop Andy Dalton and the Bengals as they kept their cool and marched on to a very close 37-36 victory. The Detroit Lions, riding high after that impressive beatdown of Tom Brady and the Patriots last week, traveled to Dallas with plans of doing the same. However, Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott thought differently and helped lead the Cowboys to a come-from-behind win against the Lions, 26-24. Our blowout game of the week featured one of the worst teams in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Bills couldn't even park the team bus correctly, let alone do anything correctly on the football field. The Packers served the goose egg and win 22-0. Super Bowl champion Philadelphia having its share of issues, especially at the quarterback position. Very inconsistent. Loses a close game to upstart Tennessee, who looks to take control of the South Division there. The Titans win by a field goal 26-23. Houston finally leaving the winless column and getting a win of their own, this time against Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. Texans hold on to pick up their first win of the year, 37-34. The Cleveland Browns, we cannot stop talking about them, are again in the news, but this time in not such a good way. The Browns taking on a winless John Gruden and the Raiders this past weekend. The kicking curse still haunts the Browns this season as the Raiders score 21 points in the fourth quarter to force overtime and then kick their way to their first win in 2018. Final score, 45-42. This broadcaster asks, if the Browns had a reliable kicker from the get-go, what are the odds that they would be 3-1 on the season thus far? Makes you think. Meanwhile, Seattle took on a winless Arizona this weekend and made sure the Cardinals stayed winless. Seattle wins a close one, 20-17. The LA Chargers continued their winning ways this past weekend. This time, the 49ers were the victims. LA wins a shootout, 29-27. And Sunday Night Football saw a classic rivalry at another chapter. The Steelers took on the Baltimore Ravens in a very physical Sunday Night Football game. Baltimore was too much to handle defensively and walked away with the W, 26-14. Week 4 finished last night with a Monday Night Football match that featured red-hot Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Broncos at Mile High Stadium. A balanced attack by quarterback Mahomes and running back Kareem Hunt proved to be very effective against a strong Denver D, and the Chiefs left Denver with a win, 27-23. Coming up is Week 5 of the NFL, and we have 3 games that you should take a look at. Thursday Night Football kicks off this week with Indianapolis taking on New England, and that'll be on Fox. That happens October 4th at 8:20 p.m. It is our prediction that the Patriots will walk away with the win. Sunday Night Football is a Texas showdown featuring the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. This will be on NBC October 7th at 8:20 p.m., and it is our prediction that the Cowboys will beat the Houston Texans. And then to finish up Week 5, we have Monday Night Football, which will feature the Washington Redskins and the New Orleans Saints live on ESPN October 8th at 8:15 p.m. It is our prediction that New Orleans and Drew Brees will once again be victorious. Well, we thank you for taking the time to listen to our newest broadcast of American Football News, and ask that you continue your patronage and continue listening for updates, news, and events pertaining to the American football world. Thank you, have a blessed weekend, and watch some football.